Have you ever wondered about the ultimate purpose of life? In the vast ocean of Hindu philosophy, there's a concept that offers an intriguing answer to this existential question. It's called moksha, often translated as liberation. Moksha is no ordinary goal. It's seen as the ultimate end of human life, the highest of the four purusharthas, or goals of human existence. But what does it liberate us from? Well, it's the cycle of life and death, the relentless whirl of birth, death, and rebirth known as samsara. You see, moksha is not just about liberation. It's about breaking free from the chains of karma, the deeds of our past and present lives that bind us to samsara. It's about transcending the physical reality and reaching a state of pure consciousness, a state of eternal bliss. So what does achieving moksha actually mean? Moksha, a Sanskrit term, translates to liberation or release. This concept might sound simple on the surface, but it's a profound philosophical idea that's deeply rooted in Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist traditions. Let's break it down a bit, shall we? Imagine a wheel constantly turning, its motion representing the endless cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. This cycle, known as samsara, is a fundamental aspect of many Eastern philosophies. It is the journey that every soul supposedly embarks upon, a journey that's filled with challenges, lessons, and experiences. Now, moksha represents the end of this journey, the point where the soul is finally free from the cycle of samsara. It's like hitting the stop button on the wheel, allowing the soul to step off and escape the constant motion. That's the basic idea behind moksha. It's the liberation of the soul from the cycle of birth and death, leading to a state of eternal bliss and tranquility. But moksha isn't just about the cessation of the cycle. It's also considered the highest state of spiritual enlightenment where the soul realizes its true nature. It's like waking up from a dream, realizing that you are not the body or the mind, but something far more profound, far more infinite. In moksha, the soul realizes its oneness with the universe, its inseparability from the divine essence that permeates all of existence. And there's a certain beauty in this realization. It's like stepping out of a dark room and into the light, seeing the world for what it truly is. It's a state of ultimate freedom, of supreme peace, where the soul is no longer bound by the chains of desire, ignorance, and suffering. It's a state where the soul experiences eternal bliss, free from the transitory pleasures and pains of the physical world. This might sound otherworldly, but let's delve deeper. Achieving moksha isn't a walk in the park, it's a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. This journey to moksha, the ultimate liberation, is a path that calls for a deeper understanding of oneself and the world around us. At the heart of this journey is moral and ethical living. It's not about grand gestures or heroic acts, but rather the humble and everyday choices we make. It's about living a life of truth, non-violence, and purity. It's about treating others with kindness and respect, and upholding the principles of fairness and justice, not because we have to, but because it's the right thing to do. Equally important is self-discipline, the ability to control our impulses and desires. This doesn't mean we deprive ourselves of all pleasures, but rather, we learn to enjoy them without becoming enslaved by them. We learn to say no to excesses and yes to moderation. We learn to stay focused on our path despite the many distractions that come our way. The journey to moksha also involves spiritual practices like meditation and yoga. These practices are not just physical exercises, but tools for inner transformation. They help us quieten the mind, sharpen the intellect, and tune into the deeper realms of consciousness. They help us experience a sense of oneness with the universe, a state of being that transcends the boundaries of the self. But perhaps the most challenging aspect of this journey is detachment from worldly desires and ego. This doesn't mean we renounce the world and retreat into a cave. Rather, it means we engage with the world, but without getting entangled in it. We learn to enjoy the world without becoming attached to it. We learn to perform our duties without expecting rewards. We learn to see ourselves not as separate entities, but as part of a larger whole. The journey to moksha is not an easy one, but it's a journey worth undertaking. It's a journey that liberates us from the cycle of birth and death, and leads us to a state of eternal bliss and peace. Think of it as a journey inward, to find the true self. Now imagine a state of pure bliss, free from suffering, free from the cycle of birth and death. This is moksha, a state of absolute tranquility and joy where the temporal world fades away and what remains is the eternal, the infinite. Imagine a ceaseless ocean, calm and serene, undisturbed by the winds of desire, unmoved by the waves of transient emotions. It's an ocean of consciousness where time and space lose their meaning, where the past and the future merge into the eternal present. This is the state of moksha, a realm of pure consciousness, unbounded by the limitations of the physical world. In moksha, the individual self dissolves into the universal self. This is not a loss, but rather a gain, an expansion of the self into the infinite. It is a state of unity, a state of oneness where the illusion of separateness vanishes and all that remains is a seamless expanse of consciousness. Moksha is often perceived as a union with the divine, an intimate communion with the source of all existence. It leads to a profound understanding, a deep knowledge that transcends the intellectual and permeates the experiential. It's a realization that one is not a finite entity confined to a physical body, but an infinite consciousness, a timeless being, a part of the cosmic symphony. This ultimate understanding brings about an indescribable peace, a deep-seated joy that doesn't depend on external circumstances. It's a peace that surpasses understanding, a joy that is beyond words. It's a state of being where one is in harmony with the universe, where one dances to the rhythm of existence, where one is in tune with the cosmic melody. In moksha, the journey culminates, the search ends, the seeker finds. It's a state of fulfillment, a state of completion where one realizes their true nature, their infinite potential. It's a state where one is not bound by the chains of karma, not driven by the wheels of desire, not confined by the walls of ignorance. In moksha, one experiences their true, infinite nature. But why do seekers yearn for moksha? What's its significance? A profound question indeed, and one that takes us to the very heart of the human experience. Picture a world where suffering, pain, and sorrow are no more. An existence where earthly desires and attachments no longer bind us, no longer cause us distress. That, dear friends, is the promise of moksha. Moksha is not just a concept, but a state of being where we find liberation from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the endless samsara. It's a state of ultimate peace and understanding, a state where we are free from the shackles of worldly desires and attachments. You see, our earthly desires and attachments are often the root cause of our suffering. We yearn, we crave, we cling, and in the process, we often lose sight of the true essence of existence. We get caught up in the noise and chaos of the material world, forgetting that there's a deeper, more profound reality that lies beyond. And that's where moksha comes in. By helping us let go of these attachments, moksha frees us from the cycle of suffering. It helps us realize that our true nature is not confined to our physical bodies or our fleeting desires. Instead, we are eternal beings, part of the divine cosmic energy that permeates the universe. This realization brings an end to suffering. It brings about a profound understanding of the universe and our place within it. It brings peace. A peace that is beyond words, beyond comprehension, a peace that transcends the boundaries of the physical world. And that, my friends, is the significance of moksha. It's not just about liberation from the cycle of birth and death, it's about understanding the true nature of existence, about realizing our divine potential. It's about finding a peace that is beyond the grasp of the physical world, a peace that is eternal, divine, and absolute. Moksha, in essence, is the realization of the true meaning of existence. So, we've traveled through the concept of moksha. But what are the key takeaways here? Moksha is about liberation, not just in a physical sense, but also in a mental and spiritual context. It's about breaking free from the perpetual wheel of life, death, and rebirth. It's a concept deeply ingrained in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, and is seen as the ultimate goal of human existence. The journey towards moksha is not one of outward exploration, but an inward journey of self-discovery and self-realization. It's about understanding the true nature of the self, the universe, and the interconnectedness of all beings. Achieving moksha is not the end, but a new beginning. It's a state of ultimate peace, understanding, and oneness with the universe. The significance of moksha is profound. It's not just an abstract philosophical concept, but a practical guide to living a meaningful and fulfilling life. In the end, moksha is about liberation, understanding, and ultimate peace. It's about discovering the true nature of the self and the universe.